G'day, I'm back this week. Once again, it's Small Business Month, so I'll be talking about something that's very dear to my heart this week in particular, that is family businesses. And in particular, I suppose, what I'd like to discuss this week, there are certain things that I believe that we must do in family business and that we must not do in family business to ensure that the business goes through the generations smoothly, that the appropriate business decisions are made and ensures that everyone's happy and continues on. I guess from my point of view, I feel extremely fortunate to have worked with up to 4 generations in certain families, between my father and then myself. Probably shows my age, and then obviously my father's age, rest his soul, has passed away, but we have worked between us with up to 4 generations in certain families, and this has given us a very interesting insight to see how these businesses have been passed through the generations. Family businesses can be wonderful things. They really can bring a family together. Some of the best businesses you will ever come across are family businesses, or started off that way before they just simply got to a point where it was just too big for it to be run simply as a family business. We'll kick off with what I feel are some of the must-dos in terms of family business. Crucially, I believe that each family business should be run as a meritocracy. It should not be run as a hierarchy based on age and position within the family. This includes giving validity to each individual based on their skill sets, training and education, and experience. It's a vital thing, and what we can have through the generations, and with different people having done different uni degrees or TAFE courses or whatever it might be, having years of experience, whether within this business or outside the family business and coming into the business, the different insights that each individual can bring can really come together and just create a wonderful environment for growth, for a business that is going to forge ahead and be ready to be taken on by the next generation. I also believe very, very strongly that we need to separate ownership of the business to the individuals working within the business. The business might be owned by the family or certain individuals within the family, but it might be run by different individuals. Stepping that out further, I think everything should be done on an arm's length basis, and that includes remuneration, most crucially, I believe. Within your business, within your family business, we might have one individual who's a CEO and has done certain courses and has certain experience and works certain hours and takes on certain responsibility. There might be another individual within the family who works as the factory manager. We might have a third individual, again working within the business, but this individual loves to get out on the disco biscuits all weekend and most often does not show up Monday. They take very little responsibility and want to enjoy life. Well, that's fantastic. I'm all for, we all get our choices in life, and I believe good luck, to those who make whatever choice they make. However, I've seen it go desperately wrong if all of those 3 individuals are being paid the same amount because they are taking up a seat in this family business. I further believe that one of the must-dos is if an individual, and often it's an older individual within the family, has injected funds into the business, and that might be to tack on another business, to merge or take over, to inject funds to grow. That particular individual who has injected those funds needs to be remunerated at an appropriate rate of return based on the risk. If that individual does not get an appropriate rate of return, they would be better off investing their funds elsewhere. And based on a similar level of risk, they would get a better return, quite likely. That is very important, not just in terms of the return for that individual, but also because without appropriate remuneration from a salary perspective and remuneration based on, I shouldn't say remuneration, but interest paid on capital injected, then we're really distorting the profits of the business, and something that can look quite good really may not look quite so good if we do the appropriate add backs. After this, then dividends are to be paid to shareholders as with any other company in proportion with the ownership. And if that means granddad, grandma still owns 80% of the business, well, good luck to grandma. That's the way it rolls. Maybe something needs to be discussed about what happens, through that business, and I believe that then leads into the next point. Ideally, we should have in place a documented, signed shareholders agreement and succession plan. And I believe that this, prior to setting this up, prior to signing off, there should be some pretty robust discussions had to step through some of the key points that should be fleshed out in that document. What happens when someone passes away? What happens when a key person passes away or decides to move out of the business? What happens when, grandma or granddad, who have kicked off the business way back when and started the business, what happens when they pass away? Who's entitled to their share? Do we need to pay to do that? Should we be looking at some sort of employee share plan for the family members who might be employees? Again, that should then be considered on a meritocracy within the business. Who does what? I believe these things should be fleshed out up front. It should be documented, signed, and it should be put in the bottom drawer and never looked at again, hopefully. With any luck, we do not have to drag that document out. The next point, and the last point in terms of the must-dos, I believe is very important moving forward into the next 10 to 20 years, when we are going to see a significant generational shift as the baby boomers move into retirement and probably, unfortunately, a number of them pass away. It is important for the older generation to understand when the time has come to step back, step aside, and let the next generation take the reins and drive the business forward. This is a very, very hard thing to do. However, I have seen, unfortunately, too frequently where it has been left too late. And unfortunately, the individual who then receives control, usually by the death or incapacity of their parent, they are either by that stage just very disgruntled and just can't be bothered. They've lost the punch to really give it a go. Or they have spent so long effectively in captivity that they just don't know what to do with the freedom and the control. This is a very disappointing thing, and unfortunately I've seen too many wonderful family businesses go downhill simply because the older generation just mistimed the transfer of power. And I know that it's a very difficult thing. We then move on to some of the must-not-dos. And I think it's really important not to create a role within the business simply because a family member needs a job. This is a bad business decision, and it will affect the bottom line. And unfortunately, bad business decisions lead to more bad business decisions. We should avoid this at all costs. If creating that role is leading to growth, if there is a particular purpose behind doing it, then fantastic. But if it is simply to give someone a job because they need one or they're at a loose end, don't do it. If you're thinking about doing it, think again. Another thing that I really would strongly recommend is that we do not place pressure and put the guilt on children, the next generation, to come into the family business if they do not want to. For so many reasons, it will not go well. If their heart is not in it, and it's your baby, not theirs, the business, what you have created, is unfortunately going to decline. There's no doubt about it. But further to that, it can lead to family disharmony, and I think that's a crucial thing. I have seen really good, strong family bonds really stressed. There's been rifts caused in families for many years because someone has felt the pressure to come into that family business. It's also really important not to have work as the only thing in common with your family. I would strongly suggest that we all retain outside interests, just to make sure that there are other things to talk about. How was your weekend? Things like that, where it's not just all about work. There are so many benefits to a family business. We know that everyone's pulling in the same direction. We can create generational wealth. We can really create something special together as a family. But there are some really crucial must-dos and must-not-dos. And I really ask you to consider these. I suppose effectively overarching all of this is the simple, most important thing I believe in life, and that is communication. We must communicate clearly and often with each other. How are we feeling? How are we seeing things? What do I want to understand from you? We need to listen to each other to understand their perspective, and then also get across our own perspective. Like I say, family businesses are wonderful things. We really don't want to let them destroy families. I'm TC, and that's my 2 cents.